What's going on, guys? Back to another episode of What Would Vinny Do? Follow the Leader edition. I got my man Boris, KW Scarsdale in the house. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, Vinny? Good to see you.
How you doing, my man? Always a pleasure to see you, Boris. Except when you
Always a
beat me in
pleasure.
chess. Then I don't really like seeing you. You know what I mean? So I want to get that over with quick. So I got to tell everybody. I keep a chess set in my office. Not many people in the office beat me. I don't think anyone ever beat me except Boris. So I think I only beat you once, right? Is that what happened one time with
I
the
don't, I don't know. I know whenever I need a confidence boost, I can come into the office and play one with Vinny and feel better about myself. So
Yeah. No, but it's
it
always close games. You got to give me that much, right?
is.
All
No,
right.
it's a good battle for sure.
All right, good. I'm gonna get you. Anyway, so enough about that. So I know you're having a great year. I know you've been with KW now close to 3 years. And what I really want to talk about with you, a lot of people know about me. When I started out, I worked for the United States Post Office. I was a mailman, and I did very well. I actually was the top agent in the Bronx office while I had the other job. And I know you're a teacher, and now there's a lot of people they use it. I think when I did it, they didn't even have the term. Now it's called dual career because there's a lot of people doing this. So I definitely want to touch on that with you and how it is working as a teacher and doing real estate and how you're able to be so successful.
Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching now. This is my 16th year as a teacher. So like lifelong educator, pretty much right out of college. And getting into real estate, and in the beginning, it was sort of just, let's see what happens. This can be a side hustle, and just it kind of just took off, right? Because teaching and real estate they're like a perfect fit, because teaching is like an 8 to 3 job. I have, my weekends are off. I'm not I have a lot of time, where real estate is kind of like an evening and weekend job, where most people want to see houses when they're off of work. So it was like a perfect fit for me. And I was able to just, to do both at the same time. And then, as business started picking up, uh, it, it was busy. It was stressful, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I had to give up one to do the other. I was able to balance both. So,
Awesome. Yeah. I kind of went through that too. And you know what's funny? With me, a lot of people were, as I started to get better at the job. I don't know if this happened with you. Actually, even when I first started, I used to kind of be like almost embarrassed, like because I would go on and I did not want to tell people I work for the post office because I think they're gonna think I'm not taking this seriously if this is like,
mhm.
you know what I mean? And I don't know, at some point it went from being embarrassed to being actually proud of it because I'm like, they're like, oh my God, how are you able to do so? And it became like, it went from a crutch to like a superpower for me. I don't know if that happened with you. Did you hide it at
Yeah,
first?
I still struggle with that, to be honest, because sometimes, I don't want to tell people that I'm a teacher, because then they're going to think, oh, well, this guy's not going to be able to give me the proper, service that I need, or he's going to be busy and when I need him or whatever. And so like I struggle with that. And sometimes it's like you tell people you're a teacher, and like you get a lot of respect because people respect teaching. They're like, okay, this is going to be a good guy, right? He's a teacher. But at the same time, it's a little tricky with, like, especially if you're working with people who are like, investors, or somebody who like doesn't really understand that, um having two careers it can be tough, right? So I don't know, it's a little bit tricky for me, to be
No,
honest.
I get it
Yeah.
100%. It's the mindset where they're gonna feel like they're not gonna have your full attention as to someone. But the fact is, we kind of, and I'm sure you've done it. We figured out a way just to do it as good as the people who are working so-called full time. Right? To me, when people used to say that to me, you're part time. I used to never think I was part time because I was putting in probably more hours than people that consider themselves full time. It just wasn't the normal 8 to 9 to 5. I'd be there every evening in the office. On the weekends, I'd be with the clients. You know what I mean? You're probably the same thing. And also teachers, right? You get summers off. So do you step it up in the summer, or does that help
No,
you as well?
definitely. And all that being said about how tough it is, I've never had somebody say, "Oh, you're a teacher. I don't want to work with you." Like,
Cool.
that's never happened
Right,
before.
right, right.
I've
Yeah,
never lost a client because of it. So it's probably just in my head.
right. Yeah, you're right. A limited belief, right? You're right. It was probably in both of our heads, and it's good we got through. You, and you want to know another thing that I wanted to talk about that was in my head, and it's a lot of people telling me when are you going to quit the post office? When are you going to quit the post office? And it's people who top realtors and people who you kind of admire, and they're telling. So I'm thinking that that's what I need to do, and I figured out myself I never needed to do that, and I ended up never. You know my story. I never quit. I ended up going into sales in the post office. I figured out how to do both, and I know there's people like Janeska in our office who were teachers, and then they did fully quit and make the transition. So I don't know where you stand on that. Are people advising you should quit? Do you feel like you want to quit? Do you feel like you want to do both?
I'm getting both sides. A lot of realtors are telling me to quit and
Right?
go full
Yeah, yeah.
time, but then a lot of people on who are not are like, hey, you should, you get benefits, you get a lot of, vacation time, try to go as long as you can. So, it's just a personal decision that, everyone's got to make for themselves.
You don't consider yourself a part-time realtor, right? You consider
I
you're
I
right.
don't.
No,
I even joke that like teaching is my part-time job and I'm
that's
a
funny.
full-time
That's
realtor.
funny. I used to do the same thing. People would ask me questions about the post. I'd be like, I'm just here to deliver the mail. I don't know. My real job's real estate. Ask me about your house. That's funny. I did it jokingly too. So what do you think to dual career people just starting out, or maybe people that are struggling? What advice would you give them to kind of get things going in the right direction?
I think the best advice in the beginning is just to let everybody know that you're a real estate agent. You can help them with whatever their needs are. And the more people you talk to, like there's everybody is a lead. So the more people, everybody knows somebody and everybody needs a roof over their head. So there's no wrong way to do it. It's just it's what is your start with your circle? Who are you with? Who is your family? Who are your friends? And then just go from there. I know my mentor Erin, like she was really big on open houses. Like if you're free on the weekends, go to open houses and get leads that way. If um, you know, everyone's got a different way of getting into it. My big thing was Zillow. Like I was successful. I was buying leads on Zillow and I was able to convert a lot of them, and that's how I got a lot of traction. Because I didn't have time to sit there and make phone calls all day or um knock on doors or whatever other strategies there are. Like having a full-time job, you kind of have to find out like what's the easiest way to get leads to come in. So for me, it happened to be Zillow, but it could be anything for anybody.
Right. And I think that's the other thing. When you have a full-time job, you kind of learn which activities you need to do to make money, because you don't have enough time to make mistakes, right? So you got to learn quickly. I always felt like I was good at knowing which clients were motivated and which ones to work with. And that comes with being experienced as a realtor. But when you don't have as much time, you have to learn that quick, or you're going to be burning your wheels and not getting anything in return, right?
Yeah, but it's also like a safety net because I never felt stressed like I have to convert, I have to make certain numbers. It doesn't matter. It never mattered to me because I'm good, or like I got a full-time job, I have benefits. I'm not worried about how much money I'm making. I'm just like if I can help people, if I'll do it. And just with that mentality, you're gonna make money. And at first I didn't realize how that was gonna play out. And then like once you start seeing, one deal close after another, it, you know, it gets kind of crazy. So
No, I know what you mean. I felt
yeah.
the same way. Like you're not. I remember thinking when some deals fall apart, like luckily I had this other check coming, especially when you have a family and bills. It was like it definitely takes away the desperation of it, right? But some people use that as motivation too. Some people knowing they need the deals, like for you, I felt the same way. It was a safety net. I felt it helped me with my clients because they saw I was like I wasn't pressing. It allowed me to be calm, and we need to look for more houses. We'll look for more houses. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right, because you don't want to be like that hungry realtor who's like pressuring their clients into buying a place or whatever, because it turns people away.
I
And so
agree.
if you have that like security in yourself, where you're like, you know, it's what's best for them, it's not what's best for me, and like that, having a second job gives you that freedom to do that.
Agreed. And a lot of times it has the benefits which a lot of people like to have when they have the family. That was the big thing for me, right? I had the benefits, I had the pension. Now I don't have to worry about that, and everything's in order. So um I mean, it's a decision you have to make, right? You got to think to yourself, if I'm going to leave this job to go full time, am I going to be able to make, am I leaving that much money on the table, right? Because you don't know if that's what you got to figure out, right? If you how much more time, because like you said, for me and you, I'm putting in probably more hours than people who call themselves full-time agents. They're just not the normal 9 to 5 hours. I'm working every night, like from 5 to 9 at night. I'm working on the weekends. So I'm doing my 40 hours. It's just at a different time. So sometimes you think to yourself, if I leave the job, am I definitely going to double my business? You know what I mean? That's the thing you got to think of, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Like if I put another 40 hours into real estate, am I gonna make up for the 40 hours of work that I'm doing in my regular job or whatever?
Exactly. Exactly. But
Yeah.
so you mentioned mentorship. You mentioned Erin. She's one of the top agents in our office. She's a leader. She's still a mentor now. She's on the ALC. Um, I've definitely what did you think about mentorship? And I know for us, it's since we've implemented it, it's definitely getting a lot of realtors to get into production sooner. And I'm kind of happy with where it's going. And I talked to you about being a possible mentor as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think having a mentor as a new agent is is vital. Like because you don't know what you don't know. And as you don't there's no college for becoming a real estate agent. There's no school, right? So even like you take your licensing class and honestly, you don't know shit when you
Yeah,
graduate
no,
your
you're right. Yeah,
35-hour class, right? So having a mentor is like having like a teacher walk you through like the steps of, becoming an agent. So for me, like I couldn't have been an agent or been where I am now without Aaron, without having a mentor. And
awesome.
like the more that I think about it, the more I realize like it's so important. Just having somebody to be like to answer the questions, um to help you like through those first few transactions where you don't know how to do it. And I know like I was constantly calling Aaron and being like, hey, what do I do here? How do I do
Right.
this?
It's
Um
somebody to lean on, right? It's somebody to. I mean, listen, our office, everybody. I don't know if everybody know people who are there know it. I've never seen a culture where people are so willing to help people, whether it's a mentor or not. But it's nice to have that. You don't want to keep bothering you, so it's nice to have that person you can lean on, like at 11 o'clock at night or a Sunday morning. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, no, 100%.
So as far as capping, a lot of people, I want to talk a little bit about that. It's in Keller's world, cap, and there's a lot of real estate offices now, they use the same term as us. I know we're the ones that started this. So capping, you pay a certain amount of company dollar, you get to 100%. I know you've done that. This is going to be your second time. I remember the first time I did that, and I had a job like you. So for me, I was like, so because at first, honestly, I didn't. I think we talked about this. I didn't think I could do it, right? Like people are like limited beliefs again to what we said. And now I'm like, if I don't do it, I'm upset. But how was that first time you capped, and how did that feel for you, having the other job
Uh,
and just being able to get to 100?
I remember the first time I spoke to you about it, and you said to me, Boris, once you cap, it's easy, and then you're gonna just cap every year after that. And I'm looking at you like, how is that even possible? Like,
Yeah.
it just seemed like some insurmountable like
Right.
mountain to just like climbing Mount Everest. Like I can't even see the top. Like I don't know how I'm gonna get there. And then reaching it, and I was like, oh, all right, this actually wasn't as as hard as it seems, right? And then now into my second year where I'm gonna cap, much faster than the first time, it's like, okay, how can I not cap? So it went from this thing that's like seemed impossible to now it's like the opposite, right?
That's
So
awesome. Yep.
yeah,
So great feeling, right? Getting that, you're getting that check at 100%. Getting a few of them it's really nice, right?
yeah, no, it's beautiful. You
I'll
want to
tell you
check
now,
off.
stay ahead of it with your taxes, brother, because you don't want to get behind that. You know what I'm saying? You got to put money on the side, because a lot of times you could say next one, and sometimes you get into trouble that way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Taxes are scary at the end of the year.
But that's awesome. So dual career, you're capping, you're at 100%. You're beating me in chess. I don't know. It seems like you're living the life right now. I think the market right now, from if you hear conversations right between agents and people, they're saying it's tough out here, right? The conditions, the
Yeah.
interest rates, and all this stuff. What it seems like you're doing well. What do you think? How are
No,
you handling it any different? Are you finding yourself working harder? Well, like what are you
it
doing?
is. No, the market's definitely shifted. I can definitely feel it. The calls aren't coming in the way they used to. The demand for houses is not as high as it was before. Um, so you have to change your approach, I think,
That's
and
it. Yep.
find a different way. And yeah, you got to work a little harder for
That's it,
sure.
right? Yeah. A
Um,
lot of people. This is when I don't know how long you. This is when you said you've been with Keller almost 3 years. That you haven't been in real estate. That's how long you've been in
no,
real.
this is yeah. My career started with Keller.
So you haven't seen the when the shift comes, like you just said, you have to approach things differently. And that now this is why it's so important who you're in business with and who like because people we've been through this and we kind of know how to navigate you through this. There's a lot of people. I mean, November was, I think NAR said it was the first time we had a negative count of people getting into real estate. So it's like this is when things start to get tough, where maybe some of the part timers who don't treat it the way me and you do kind of get weeded out. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that, especially like this is where having that second job comes in handy, right?
That's true.
Like
That's true too.
I didn't sign any deals this month. All right, it's okay. I still
Yep.
have
Yep.
some bread coming in. So yeah,
Uh, I mean, it's definitely it's the mind, but you have the right approach. It's funny you realize it. You haven't been through it, but you hit the nail right on the head. You sometimes you're gonna work twice as hard or maybe to make the same amount of money you were making, and it's a total different approach. Like I did a I've seen some realtors. I have a listing like and by me and I spoke to someone and they said they don't do open houses. I'm like, you don't do open houses? Like, what does that even mean? Like the owner told me they don't do open houses. Like, so I'm doing open houses every weekend to try to get people into this because, like you said, there's less buyers out there. You know what I mean? So it's definitely time for different approaches. Like if you keep doing the same thing's not going to work now. A few months ago, houses were selling themselves, right? That's not happening anymore. Now you got to market. Now you got to do stuff.
yeah. And I mean, I heard Jamal talking about you got to get those seller listings, like because just the buyers are, there are fewer of them, and you got to make sure like they're super qualified, and with the interest rates being high, like I mean, you can still do both sides, but it's just tougher. There's less, and there's not a lot of inventory either. So,
Right.
like I have a client looking in Pelham Bay, and there's no new houses coming on. Like
Yeah.
every month, maybe you get like one more house to look at. It's like, all right,
Right.
there's only so much you can do. So,
It's true. It's true. Um, what so for you, right? You've what's the plan? What's the goal? Do you have if you could see yourself in 3 to 5 years, is the goal maybe grow a team, maybe just keep capping sooner, keep doing what you're doing? Do you think about things? Are you a goal type guy looking ahead or not really?
uh, it's hard for me to see that far ahead. Um, I do want to keep growing, and seeing where the business takes me. I do want to focus more on sellers. I would say majority of my business in the first 2 years came from buyers, and
Okay.
I want to shift a little bit more towards sellers, or at least having more of a balance. Um, I don't know about starting a team or doing anything like that. I'm not sure because having a team, I feel like is more responsibility, or you're now having to think about other people.
Right.
Part of my motivation for being a real estate agent was just being able to just worry about myself and not having to work if I don't want to, or just having that freedom.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. No, you listen, Boris, you're I got to tell you, a lot of stuff you're saying is very wise. Like you seem like you either that's why you're so good in chess because you're steps ahead of them where you're supposed to be. That's very true. A lot of people will say to me, "I want to be on your team," and I give them that exact answer. I'm like, I don't know if you do because you took this job maybe because you thought you wanted to work at like exactly what you just said. So that's smart. But you might could get to a point in your career where you also realize you get to a level and you're going to need people to help you push through that to get to the next level.
No, absolutely, and I already do. So thinking about like the next step for me is probably going to be like, who else can I, maybe if it's not a team, at least who else can I bring in to my I don't know what you call it, but I guess it would be a team.
No, it
But
could be. I mean, I know what you're saying, like a transaction coordinator, something that can get you to get to the next level of business. Yeah, it could be a solo agent and an admin. It doesn't have to be a team per se, like this big team. But I definitely see that in your future. But any way you want to go, I think you're going to do well. And I appreciate you coming on. Keep up the great work, and talk to you. See you in the office. I'll see you at the chess set. I'm definitely beating you next year for the
no
start.
doubt, Vinny, it's a pleasure. It's a great way to start the new year. I'm so glad we did this. I was a little nervous coming on. I didn't know what to expect, but like you said, it's an easy conversation with you. It's
It's
all
just like talking in the office. Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
right, Vinny. Take care,
All right,
man.
later.
All right.